Defying fatwa, Iraqis are flocking to a COVID-19 cemetery to exhume the dead and rebury them in their rightful place in family cemeteries. Victims from all religious sects, both Shiite and Sunni Muslims, as well as Christians, were buried in a cemetery specially made for coronavirus deaths. Here's a report.
Shocking images of graves being dug up to exhume dead bodies. In the background, sounds of fierce sobbing and mourning prayers echo across. Using axes, shovels and bulldozers, several Iraqis are taking out their dead only to rebury them in their traditional places of rest. For Abu Haider and his relatives, it took them several hours to dig up their nephew's grave at a cemetery in the southern Iraqi city of Najaf, which was built especially for COVID-19 victims. The body was then shrouded in white sheet, loaded onto the back of a pickup truck, and set off to be buried again at the old cemetery where members of his family have been buried for generations.
We didn't see our dead, the coronavirus victims. We were not allowed to have a funeral procession, to be with them. They were buried quite randomly.
Today, over 4,000 COVID-19 victims from across the country lie buried in this vast stretch of land. Called the New Cemetery, it was specially created to cater to the coronavirus victims after the outbreak of the pandemic in Iraq. At its peak, the burials were often done in the middle of the night, and only one family member was allowed to attend the funeral. Many relatives now feel they had not been able to properly mourn their dead.
We have tribal traditions, burial caves. We have plots that we purchased. We want to bury them in these plots. Why? People who died in the beginning, until the month of June, and now very recently, people were allowed to wash them and bury them as they please, and they can have funeral processions.
Recently, the World Health Organization has said that the risk of post-mortem contagion appeared to be low, after which Iraqi health authorities allowed families to rebury their dead, despite resistance from the highest Shiite authority.
The religious standing is that we must not dig up Muslim graves. This is clear among religious leaders, in their positions and in their books.
Yet dozens of families have moved bodies of their near and dear ones from the new burial ground to the old, even if it means reliving the pain of losing a loved one to the coronavirus pandemic. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.